Hi, welcome to another commentary tutorial. Okay, time to apply some materials, and we'll need to switch to the selected mode, which can be found right here, or hold the Z button and switch it. Now in the looked at mode you can select the environments. So there's different maps, so you can see what you're doing in different lighting conditions, but right now we'll just need something really basic. I don't know, maybe this one. Okay, I'm really sorry, my recording got messed up, so I've already applied a bunch of materials and I talked about them, but anyway, nothing too fancy, just a basic default principal shader with the default roughness, and we're basically working mostly with color and metalness. So I've applied some really strong metallic shader here and some rough metallic shader here, some darker for the bars, and some light colors for the buildings. And these shaders were already in place from the imported objects before, so nothing much happened here. And I was just talking a little bit about the naming. When you name the material the same name, the Blender automatically applies the number to it. So that's kind of everything I talked about while the recording was broken, so we can go on. Now let's apply some material to the door here, and for some reason, I don't know why, I want them blue. So let's add another material slot to the building, as this is a part of the building mesh, and let's create a new material and let's call it, I don't know, metal blue, and I want to give it dark blue color. Press assign, and I want it to be metallic because I want metal blue door. And here we can make a metal door as well, but maybe we'll make the metal 2 material that we made for the bars and stuff, so it's just a black door. And here on the curb I want to create the concrete material. Let's make it a little bit darker and bring out the roughness more, but leave it like this. And for the street material on the ground, I think the concrete would be nice, but I want to make it a little bit darker, so let's duplicate this and make it darker here. Okay, now let's continue with the materials. Right now I want to do the lamps, so let's select it all. Let's just apply metal material to the whole object, and then we can create a new slot. Select this, and with Ctrl+ you can expand the selection, it's very handy, and create a new material. Let's call it lamp. Switch principal to the emission shader. Where are you? Here you are. Okay, emission shader, and give it like let's give it a 50 emission, assign, and yellowish color, but leave it like that. We will play with the lights later. And right now let's give material to this board. Maybe I just want it black. and this I want some rough metal, and maybe we can make bars either darker or really shiny. I think they could be darker, like this. Okay, I want to give this maybe a red color, like the vending machine. And here's why. I like to keep materials. I don't like to create a new material every time for another object, so I'm looking for a list of material which I've already created in the scene, and if I don't find anything that I want to use, only then I will create a new material. And what that does is that it will limit your options a little bit, and then your overall color scheme is much more consistent as far as illustrations go. Okay, I think here are the lights. These are important mainly because we want to give emission shader to the lights, so it doesn't really matter what material the rest of the object is, since we don't see that. And let's make this selection, and let's name it tungsten, because it will be a little bit different from the light on the lamps. So let's go with maybe 25 emission, and we want this a little bit bluish color. Okay. Now this I want to have completely separate shader for heart, so we can adjust the lighting, the emission on that separately. And I want this color. Okay, and let's go with the strength of 10. And let's try the same color on the writing as well, and we'll see what that does. And DeLorean, I want like the neon blue color there. And with the this kind of futuristic cyberpunk scenes, it basically all comes down to lighting, because when you look at this, this is not very much futuristic and not very much cyberpunk at all, but the moment you give it that pink and blue lighting and all the signs everywhere, it really comes down only to lighting. Let's switch this to emission, and I really want this neon color. Let's try 5, and we'll see how this works. And I want this to be, let's create a pink light. So I want really pink color. Yeah, but we need the emission shader. Okay. Now for the windows, I want the majority of the light in the scene will be coming from windows and signs and everything, so we'll not be working much with the lighting. Maybe there will be one light to give it some ambience or moonlight or something like that, but most of the lighting will be done by the windows and signs. So first of all, let's color the window frame. Let's make it wooden. And now let's just select the glass and let's create window material. Let's give it the emission, and this will be a little bit red. Orange, okay. And a sign. Here there's this big window which will be, let's create a new slot. Let's create a new window material. Let's make it emission. And this I want really red, maybe more shiny.
And here I want a little faces, a little bit one yellow white maybe, so there's some contrast. And let's give it, more details, and let's give the emission of some blue light. What there is a blue line on the side of the line.
Okay, and now building in the back, it's completely dark, but I want the window to shine, and I want to split the mesh so we can do some pretty stuff. And let's create another window material, that's number 3, and let's give it a pink emission, or maybe blue, like this, maybe a 5. And I want some parts to have another color, so maybe let's use these other window materials here, so it looks like there is some graphic going on the display or something like that. Okay, right now we applied the materials on the whole scene, and let's play with some lighting so it comes to life. Okay, let's get to lighting and rendering of the scene. So I'm really not completely decided whether I want to do this in EV or in cycles, but I want to say cycles because there will be a lot of lighting and shadows going on, and EV is not that great with shadows as it is a game engine. It works like game engine. So let's switch to cycles. Go to the camera view, and with Ctrl B we can limit the render view or just the visible square, but I want to edit the orthographic scale on the camera because the scene grew a little bit. So let's go all the way to maybe 15.5 and bring it up a bit. Okay, and now let's switch to cycles. I want to use GPU. And let's do the first preview. Man, this will be surprising. Oh, it doesn't look that bad actually. Okay. Now, we'll need to add a plane as a backdrop for the scene. Just scale it up to fill the camera view. Let's preview that. Okay. And move it down a bit. Okay, and right now I want to try how would the DeLorean look if I rotated it. Still not decided. Still not decided. Yeah, I think I will rotate it. It looks more interesting with these backlights, but I want to modify the shader on that because it's too much pink. But actually that's a good thing in this kind of scene. So let's bring that out a bit. Let's make these a little bit more purple. Okay, maybe add some light there too. From what I see here, we can actually make the lights much brighter. Okay, and now I want to add some global lighting. Let's just look at the world settings first. Here we can play with the ambience. And let's make it blue or violet and bring it all the way down. So we now just see what the lights in the scene actually do, and it's great. Okay, I like it like this. And now we can add some area light. Bring it up, maybe rotate it 45 degrees, but set the pivot point to 3D cursor, rotate 45, and then 45 along the Z axis to get a nice side lighting. Let's bring it out, make it large. And now I want this to be blue light. But only very subtle. And maybe let's try rotating this. Yeah, definitely we want the facing lighting, because it brings out all the reflections and details here. And here I want to bring this more. And let's modify the lamp to be even more orange. Well, let's go for the orange lighting. Now, right now I miss something here on the building, so I'll just make a little detail here. Nothing fancy, just some, I don't know what it is. Maybe there's something inside that needed extension on the wall. You never know. So it's just to make some detail there. And you look at it right now, it's much more balanced, much better than the flat surface that was there before. I think the backlight is okay. Let's try to bring it up, but not 5000, of course. Yeah, I think we'll need something like this because we need to bring out the details on the roofs more, and here on the pole as well. So this is okay. Maybe make it a little bit darker blue. So it's just the night light. And since we are in the city and there are lights everywhere around, we can basically afford absolutely anything with the lighting right now. And that's something I want to talk about a bit. When you do the Lowpoly illustration and you do the lighting, the main difference can be when you stop treating the light like something you would do in the realism mode when you do some architecture stuff or interior stuff and such, and you're thinking about the light, about the intensity of the lighting. Don't do that in the illustration, because you're telling the story, and the story here is that this piece which is cut out of the multi-million city full of lights, and there are multiple lights everywhere. So if I shine the pink light from the right side, bright pink light, that just tells the story that there is some really powerful source of pink light down the road. So we can do absolutely anything here. Well, let's just duplicate this light. And rotate it from the side. We'll need to make it lower and a little bit smaller. And let's try to make some really strong pink light. Okay, that's nice. And let's try to duplicate it once more and bring it from the other side. So basically I was lying when I told you the scene will be made up mainly from the signs and windows, because right out of bed I saw that it will be not enough. We need to really nail the atmosphere here. That can be larger source. And let's make it neon blue. And to bring out the details more here, we can really adjust the lights on these lamps. We can make it even 100 if we want. I think that'll help a bit. Yeah. So we got a nice bright thing happening here. And I don't like this color. I want it to be more neutral. Maybe darker. Okay, I think this will be enough as a basic lighting. And let's do some texture painting here because I want the road to be really wet and this roof too. We already applied the road material, and I talked about it that I want a specific material for the road because I will do texture painting. So Blender 2.8 has really nice tabs here, and you can just switch to the texture paint and you have everything set up. You can go and paint right away, but first you of course need to unwrap this. And right now we only need this part to be painted, so I'll just select that and press U to unwrap and click Smart UV project, and you see we have a nicely unwrapped only the top part of the road. And now if you switch to texture painting, you will need to create a new image. Let's go for the 2K resolution, in case we would need to make a really high res render out of this. Let's name this road Cyberpunk because I might have another road texture there. But be careful when you're texture painting. You see these little asterisks here. That means that the file isn't saved, and you need to save as and save the image externally. So because the next time you would close and open the Blender, the texture would be gone. Okay, and right now we can paint on the texture, but there will be nothing to see because we need to go to the shading and we need to play with nodes. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but basically this is the shader for the road, and we need to modify this roughness channel. So we'll need to tell it with color what value does it need to have, and it goes from white as 0 to black as 1. So if I add a texture here and image texture, and we can select the road Cyberpunk, and we connect this to the roughness right away, you see now the image was black, so that means the roughness is everywhere set to 1. So this is fully reflective material because roughness is 1. Sorry, roughness is 0. Now if I go back to the texture paint and start painting, you can see now I made a smudge where, if you go to the layout mode, where this is roughness 1 and around that is roughness 0. There were a lot of you that asked for this in the comments on my previous videos, because I was making the puddles on the road after the recording of the previous videos. So this time I want to show you how it's made. So you unwrap the object, so you have a UV settings, you go into the texture paint, you paint the areas which you want the puddles, where you want the puddles, and then in the shading you connect the texture here. But this setting is kind of not too practical, but let's not worry now. Let's just make it like this. We'll actually make the whole road a little bit rough, so it won't be all black, but it'll be some roughness applied. And give strength. Okay, right now when you save this, you see it's really glossy, and I think it's too much, so let's bring it down. Right, now fill this up with some light gray color, so it has some roughness, and the reflections will be lower. We can check the result here. I think this is okay. Maybe we can go even a little less roughness, because we want the road to be wet. So go like this. Okay, and now we'll make the actual puddles, and we can paint right here in the viewport, and that's very useful. So let's save the image, and now pick the black color, pick the brush, and you can adjust the brush size by pressing F and dragging. And let's give it a black color. Okay, if you're wondering what the line is, this is a smooth brush tool, and it's really cool because you can make some smooth strokes with that. Comes really handy. Now let's make this smaller, and we want to modify the fall off because the edge of the stroke is really soft and I want it sharp. So let's do this, and let's try to paint. And I want the puddle here. And right now I want to change the fall off to smooth and paint a little bit over it to make some. If you want to disable the smooth stroke, you go into the stroke and disable it so you can paint right away. Now I really want to just make add a little fall off on the edges, because the puddles wouldn't be so sharp everywhere, and they would have these some places that it really sinks into the road. And again, these are just the details, the little details that really make a difference sometimes. Okay, save the image, don't forget that, and let's go to the layout. And now we have some puddles. I think this will be enough. And the road looks good in my opinion, so let's give it a black color. And let's play with the lighting a little bit more. Of course, I will play with this a little bit more, so if there are some differences in the final render that you will see on the thumbnail of the video, it's almost always like that. When I'm finished with the recording, I always go back to the design and make some additional changes, because after you rest a bit, you start to see things that you didn't see before. So keep that in mind, and if you see something that you really want to know how I did and it won't be recorded, just hit me a message, hit me a comment under the video, and I hope I can address that. Oh, one last thing, we forgot the one light here, so let's fix that. And I want the red light here. Now, one thing we could add, we could play with the volumetrics a bit, and I think it would really make the scene better. So let's add the cube. Oh. Let's scale it up to cover the scene, and we'll create a fog material. We'll call the cube a fog, so we can find it later. And let's remove the surface material and add the volume scatter and give it a density of maybe 0.05. I think that will be enough. And let's look in the render view, the volume scatter. Maybe it doesn't need that much of a density, so let's bring that down a bit, and let's play with the color management. I'll almost always go with at least medium high contrast, because it makes the scene look better, and maybe we can bring the exposure some more. Okay, I think this looks quite good. Maybe there's too much of a pink color here. Maybe some things could be more blue, like this big window here. And my computer is really not satisfied with what I'm doing to him right now, with all the volumetrics. So let's find the purple light. Let's try to change that to blue. Okay, I think I like this more. I really do. But we colored this as well, so maybe the best would be to duplicate this. Now let's hit the render, and our image will be ready. Right, thank you guys for going all the way through the whole series up to this point where you have the illustration finished. Please let me know in the comments if you liked it, what you liked, what you didn't like. Maybe tell me what you want to do next, and I will think about that. If you're new to this channel, please check out the whole series of this cyberpunk scene modeling, and if you like it, please hit that subscribe button, and if you want to know when I release something new, hit that bell button to get notified. Thank you guys, thank you for watching, and see you on the next video.